to talk! What? I'm breaking up with you! It's not you, it's me!
She was the indie darling of a generation. American Beauty made her iconic. Ghost World made her unforgettable. And just as Hollywood was ready to crown her its next leading woman, she disappeared. No headlines, no farewell, no scandal. She simply faded away. Thora Birch wasn't a burnout. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't addicted or self-destructive. In fact, she was doing everything right. Working hard, delivering powerful performances, earning respect from critics. But while others soared, she vanished into silence. For years, the industry whispered about difficult behavior, about a stage father with too much control, about opportunities lost not because of talent, but because of power plays. Some say she was pushed out. Others say she chose to walk away. But what if the truth is somewhere much darker? Because sometimes Hollywood doesn't need to destroy you publicly. Sometimes it just quietly erases you. So what really happened to Thora Birch? And why did the world stop looking? Thora Birch was born into the business, but not in the way most starlets are. Her parents, Jack Birch and Carol Connors, were both former adult film actors. They didn't just flirt with controversy, they lived in it. When Thora came into the world in 1982, her life was already scripted, not by fate, but by parents who saw the industry not as art, but as opportunity. By age 4, Thora was acting in commercials. Quaker Oats, Burger King, California Raisins. Her childhood was a blur of auditions, sets, and cameras. There were no playgrounds, no best friends, no lazy weekends. There was only work. Her parents took control of everything: her image, her roles, her earnings. Jack, in particular, was known to be present on every set, hovering just off camera, stepping into discussions with directors, making demands. To the outside world, it looked like guidance. But insiders would later call it domination. As she grew older, Thora developed a quiet intensity. On screen, she had a depth that belied her years: soulful eyes, restrained emotions, a sharp wit. But off-screen, she was shy, almost withdrawn. It wasn't the innocence of youth, it was the exhaustion of a child who never got to be one. The world saw a rising talent, but few saw the price she paid just to get there. Thora Birch didn't just stumble into fame, she earned it. After a string of commercial gigs, she transitioned into film at a young age, capturing Hearts in Paradise, 1991, opposite Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. But it was her role in Hocus Pocus, 1993, playing the sassy little sister Danny, that made her a household name for a generation. Throughout the 92nd, Thora became the face of smart, emotionally complex girls in Hollywood. In Now and Then, 1995, she embodied nostalgia and quiet strength. She wasn't playing cutesy, she was playing real. And people noticed, but nothing prepared the world for what came next. In 1999, American Beauty exploded across theaters. Thora, then just 17, played Jane Burnham, a brooding teen aching for meaning in a world of emotional emptiness. The film won 5 Academy Awards, and though Thora wasn't nominated, her performance was pivotal, layered, unforgettable. Suddenly, critics were calling her the next Jodie Foster. She wasn't just good for her age, she was good, period. That same year, she appeared in The Hole, a dark psychological thriller that proved she could carry a film on her own. And in 2001, Ghost World sealed her status as an indie legend. Paired with Scarlett Johansson, Thora delivered a performance that was quirky, haunting, and heartbreakingly real. She received a Golden Globe nomination and the kind of critical acclaim most actors never taste. She should have been unstoppable. At just 20, she had the kind of career most could only dream of. But behind the camera, things weren't so simple. In the early 2000s, Thora Birch should have been everywhere. But instead of taking center stage, she started fading from it. and few understood why. There were whispers, unconfirmed stories, a quiet unease that followed her name through casting rooms. At the heart of it all was her father, Jack Birch. Officially, he was her manager. Unofficially, he was her shadow, hovering on set, interfering in production decisions, making demands that made producers uncomfortable. Some directors refused to work with her because of him. One casting agent later described the relationship as toxic, not because Thora was difficult, but because her father was impossible. The most telling moment came in 2010. Thora had been cast in a high-profile, off-Broadway revival of Dracula. Just days before opening night, she was fired. Why? Her father reportedly threatened an actor who had a romantic scene with her. It was a breaking point, not just for the production, but for Thora's career. Hollywood wasn't interested in babysitting overbearing parents. And Thora, now an adult, was still seen as someone not fully in control of her own life. Behind the scenes, the damage was deep. She had reportedly lost out on major roles in Election and The Craft, not because she lacked talent, but because studios didn't want to deal with her father. Her refusal to sever ties with him became a silent death sentence. And then, there was another layer. Thora wasn't the kind of actress Hollywood liked to mold. She was opinionated. She refused to play the fame game. She didn't attend the right parties, didn't flatter the right producers, didn't soften her edges. In a system that rewards compliance, she wasn't compliant. So the phone stopped ringing, not with a bang, but a slow, cruel fade-out. There was no incident, no breaking news, no farewell post. Thora Birch didn't disappear in flames. She quietly stepped away, and the world barely noticed. After Ghost World, she continued working. But the projects were smaller, the screens dimmer, the roles grew less meaningful, and the cameras turned away. What once looked like the start of a long, celebrated career became a trail of half-remembered appearances. Then, silence. For years, she was absent from major productions. Her name vanished from casting boards. Her face, once so familiar, faded from public memory. There were no interviews, no red carpets, no headlines. Just a slow, quiet distance from the world that once embraced her. When she did speak, her tone was calm. She spoke of wanting more creative space, of needing time away. But between the lines, there was a heaviness, a sense that the spotlight had moved on, and no one had waited for her to return. She briefly reappeared in 2012 Inch, a small independent film. Later, she joined a major television series in 2019, sparking hope for a revival. But once again, things didn't last. She exited mid-season with little explanation. No conflict, no drama, just absence. Unlike many stars who rise again, Thora's return never came. There was no grand moment, no sudden comeback, only the echo of what could have been, and perhaps that's the most painful part. Not that she left, but that the silence around her grew so loud. Thora Birch never made a grand return. She didn't become a tabloid regular, didn't chase the spotlight, didn't reinvent herself for clicks, and maybe that's exactly why the industry let her drift away. But those who remember her work, truly remember, know she left something behind. Performances that were raw, honest, and years ahead of their time. She wasn't trying to be a star, she was trying to be real. In a system that often rewards obedience over authenticity, Thora stood quietly apart. She didn't play by the rules, and in return, she was slowly written out of the story. Not because she failed, but because she refused to pretend. And yet, her legacy lives on, not in box office numbers or trending headlines, but in the eyes of those who saw her, felt something, and never forgot. In American Beauty, in Ghost World, in every scene where she held back just enough to say everything. Maybe that's the truth Hollywood avoids the most, that some of its brightest lights don't fade because they burn out, but because the system turns them off.